Good afternoon. Welcome to the session devoted to the topics of Destination 3, Tackling Diseases and Reducing Disease Burden, prepared under the cluster Health of Horizon Europe. My name is Greg Owsianik, and I'm Policy Officer and Team Leader in the Unit D1, Combating Diseases, of Directorate People in DG Research and Innovation. Before we start our session, I would like to introduce my colleagues who are with me and will help me to answer your questions, which will be sent to us via Slido. So, Evelyn, Tim, Katja, and Christian. So these colleagues are part of the drafting team of topics of Destination 3. So, okay, to give you a short a reminder of our topics, we prepare the summary slide. So we have 6 topics for 2024 in Destination 3, 5 research and innovation action topics, and 1 coordination and super action topic. The first topic, Disease 0308, is a 2-stage topic on comparative effectiveness research for healthcare intervention in areas of high public health needs. The closure of the first stage of this topic is on 19th of September this year, and the second stage will be closed on 11th of April 2024. The foreseen budget is 45 million euros, and the estimated project size is between 6 and 7 million. May I still have a slide? So the second topic, research and innovation action topic, Disease 0311, 2-stage topic as well, pandemic preparedness and response, adaptive platform trials for pandemic preparedness. The closure of the first and the second stage is the same as the previous one. The foreseen budget is 30 million euros, and the estimated project size is between 8 and 10 million euros. The third topic is the topic Disease 0313, validation of fluid-derived biomarkers for the prediction and prevention of brain disorders. The closures dates are also the same. The budget is 25 million euros with an estimated project size between 6 and 8 million euros. Next slide, please. Then we have the last 2-stage research and innovation topic, Disease 0314, tackling high burden for patient under research medical condition, with a budget of 25 million euros and a project size we estimate between 6 and 7 million euros. The closure dates are also the same. The first stage on 19 September 2023 and the second stage on 11 April 2024. Then we have our coordination and super action topic, topic Disease 0812. Pandemic Preparedness and Response, maintaining the European Partnership for Pandemic Preparedness, with a closure date on 11th of April 2024. The estimated budget is 2 million, and we expect only 1 topic of 2 million euros. And the last topic is a single-stage research and innovation action topic, topic Disease 0820. Pandemic Preparedness and Response, host pathogen interaction of infectious diseases with epidemic potential, with a closure date on 11th of April 2024. Estimated budget is 50 million euros, and the estimated project size is 7 to 8 million euros. Okay, so before we start our question and answer part of this session, I would like to give you a few information concerning the procedures we will have. So during our session, we will only answer the questions related to the topics of Destination 3. In case you would have a question related to cross-cutting issues like lump sum lump sum budget of the topics, blind evaluation, international cooperation, or social science and humanity aspects, I would like to direct you to our morning sessions, which were recorded and very soon will be available on the website of this event. So please have a look. In case you would still have some questions, please don't hesitate to send it to us via the Research Inquiry Service or via the National Contact Points Network website. So all these links are on the event website. So we will provide you the answer after this meeting. And also, what is very important, please do not forget to indicate the topic code when you ask your question via the slide. Okay, so I see that there are already some questions sent to us. So the QR code for slide will be displayed from time to time on the screen. So like this, you will have a very easy access during the session. So I will read the questions which are sent via the system. So the first question concerns the topic disease 0820, outcomes versus proposals should address is work on vaccine candidates, etc., mandatory or sufficient to identify possible targets? So this question is for Christian.
Yes, thank you, Greg, and good morning, everybody. The answer is it is sufficient to identify possible targets. So we have here a topic that is rather wide, but that's the way we draft them under Horizon Europe. So not as individual proposals are not expected to cover the full breadth of a given topic. So this refers both to the viruses, also to how deep research should advance. So the main emphasis is on the characterization of host pathogen interaction, but also the topic gives a perspective, with a view to interfere with the uptake of viruses, with replication and exit strategies, and of course vaccines, low molecular weight compounds are possible tools to do so, but it depends on where the individual project starts, how deep they can go, but it's definitely not necessary to promise a vaccine in a proposal, for example.
Thank you, Christian. So we have the next questions for the topic disease 0314. Can developing a technology-based intervention for autism be the main object of a proposal in this call? Tim, the question is for you.
Yeah, hello, hi. So autism, I think so. The questions that one would need to ask in this topic would be like, does autism, so the condition, does it fail to be recognized or be correctly diagnosed? Is it inadequately treated and therefore a high burden for patients? And does it have a high prevalence? And is it insufficiently researched? So these are the questions that the applicant should be asking, whether that's relevant for autism. I should say that there is a scoping study that is related to this call topic. It's an exploratory study, so it's not set in stone, the results, but it did use a number of metrics, and autism was included under there were 12 groups of conditions identified, and one of them being mental disorders, and autism does fall under that category. Now, ultimately, the justification, the applicants will need to sufficiently justify the chosen condition, so in this case, autism, and they will clearly need to demonstrate that that it's insufficiently understood, inaccurately diagnosed, inadequately treated in a significant proportion of patients, and there's such a high burden for patients and society. And this could be done through referencing literature. And ultimately, this justification will be evaluated by the independent experts, and they will judge the proposal.
Thank you, Tim. So we have the next question also for you, topic disease 0314. Can you give an example for the kind of social science and humanities involvement contribution you would expect in this project in this topic?
Okay, so that is, that's also the topic 0314, tackling high burden for patients under researched medical conditions. And it is true that the topic requires, like a number of other topics in the work program, contributions from the social sciences and humanities. And I think the applicants would need to think on different aspects on the social sciences and humanities, whether it be demographics, cultural, social, societal, maybe educational, these points, and need to reflect on these points and work out these elements, and certainly work out these elements clearly in the proposal.
Thank you, Tim. So the next question is for the topic disease 0820. So for Christian, should all listed viruses be included in a project, or can applicants choose from the list?
Thank you, Craig. A given proposal does not need to address all the viruses listed. So again, the topic is wider than what an individual proposal can cover. At the end of the day, we expect roughly 7 projects when you compare the budget figures total and what can be allocated to an individual proposal. So we expect 7 projects that then ideally would cover most or all of these viruses, but definitely not an individual proposal.
Thank you, Christian. So the next question is also for you, but this is a more horizontal question. So I will read the question. Disease 0820. Can Brazilian entities be funded in case their participation is deemed important to bring case studies and number of patients? So, Christian?
Well, this is a question asked under this topic, but I'm not familiar with the rules of participation with regard to Brazilian project participants. So I need to refer this question, the answer to this question, to a more knowledgeable person in RTD. Sorry.
So if I may add to this, for the potential applicants who ask this question during the session, I would invite this person to look at the recording of our morning session on cross-cutting issue, including international cooperation. And in case he would find that there is no answer to this question, so please refer to our research inquiry service and send us this question, and it will be presented as frequently asked questions. Thank you. So, question for the topic disease 314. The topic describes SME participation as encouraged. Can an SME as a coordinator or an SME be one of the beneficiaries? So this question is for Tim.
Thanks, Greg. Yes, so if you look under the scope section, sorry, there's an alarm going on here, but it's okay. There is a bullet point saying that SME participation is strongly encouraged. It's the last bullet point in the scope section, which implies that the SMEs can or is encouraged to be one of the beneficiaries, and they can take a role as a coordinator within the proposal. So it's quite straightforward, yeah.
Okay, so we can continue. I apologize for some problems. So the next question is for a topic disease 0308. Are substance-dependent individuals, again opioid addicts, within the scope of this call? So this question is for Tim.
Okay, so yes, so substance dependent individuals. Okay, so the call topic doesn't specifically exclude substance dependent individuals. So this target population is actually within the scope of the call. Maybe you should note the first bullet point under the scope section where it's written, while there is no restriction on diseases or conditions, preference will be given to proposals focusing on interventions with high public health relevance. And then there's a little footnote describing what this high public health relevance is. So it'll be up to the applicants to sufficiently justify the interventions under comparison, as well as the target population. And it will be the independent experts who are going to evaluate this justification and the proposal.
Thank you, Tim. So the next question is also for you, for the topic D0314. Can we address a disease that does not appear in the list published in the reference scoping study?
I should say that the scoping study is exploratory in nature, yeah. So it does indeed include a list of medical conditions, but this is a non-exhaustive list of conditions. In fact, there are 12 groups of conditions that are listed in there. Now, certainly other conditions which are a high burden for patients and under-researched are possible or exist. And the second bullet point in the scope touches upon on this, and it says, proposals should demonstrate that the conditions under study are insufficiently understood, inaccurately diagnosed, or inadequately treated in a significant proportion of patients, and as such represent a high burden for patients and society. And so the point is that you need to provide the evidence, demonstrate these aspects, and then you'd need to reference key literature. So certainly other conditions than those mentioned in the scoping study are possible as long as there's sufficient justification.
Thank you, Tim. So next question is also for the same topic for you, disease 0314. Would cancer be in scope of this topic?
Let's see. Would cancer? So, okay, what's clearly excluded are rare diseases. There are, I guess, certain cancers that reach or touch upon this criteria of being not well recognized, not correctly diagnosed in a significant proportion of patients, and thereby inadequately treated, and being then a high burden for patients, and also fulfilling, all the other aspects indicated in the scope section, then I guess that specific condition would fall in scope, yeah.
Thank you, Tim. So next question. So I would ask my colleagues to look at the Slido interface. So the audience, please don't hesitate to send us more questions through the system. So I don't see any new question, so I'm still waiting. So we answered the question about the opioid addicts already. Okay, I see the next question coming is for the topic 0313. Could you please confirm that this topic, disease 0313, is the condition? Wait a moment, because the question is not clearly written. Could you please confirm that for topic disease 0313 to stage the condition of the topic, all participants from the US and they are eligible for funding? So topic 13 is also for you, Tim.
Yeah, so here again, it falls a little bit with what Christian was asked about. It's also like this is not really within my knowledge area, and maybe Greg, as you had mentioned previously, this could probably be asked via this research inquiry service, unless maybe Rosanna is on board, who could touch upon the international affairs.
Please refer to the morning session on international cooperation, but in case there is no clear answer to your questions, please send it to us via the system, via the research inquiry service. Okay, so I see the next question for the topic disease 0308. Preference for interventions with a high public health relevance. Do childhood cancers consider as a high public health relevance as they are rare? Tim, also for you.
Okay, okay, so the core topic states that the preference will be given to proposals focusing on interventions with high public health relevance. And then there is a definition of what high public health relevance is. Interventions addressing diseases or conditions that are particularly frequent, have a high negative impact on the quality of life of the individual, and or are associated with significant costs where savings can be achieved. So the topic says there's no restriction on diseases or conditions, but then there's this preference. So it does not specifically exclude the childhood cancers that was just mentioned. So in that way, it's a possibility as long, as long as there's sufficient justification that it falls within a high public health relevance.
Thank you, Tim. So the next question is for topic 0314, so also for you, Tim. Can you please confirm clinical studies attachment is not required at stage 1, only stage 2? So this is also the question which was presented as a subject of the session on cross-cutting issues. There was a part on the clinical study, so please refer to this, to the recording of this session. So this was very clearly addressed during the session. So the next question for the topic disease 0308 are exploitation activities, for example, plans for possible market exploitation, welcome in this proposal. Tim. That's for you.
Sorry, so which topic was this?
So 0308, disease 0308, I repeat the question, are exploitation activities, like plans for possible market exploitation, welcome in this proposal?
I think, well, most call topics aim for high impact and, where relevant and to which extent it's elaborated, it seems to me that plans for exploitation of the results would be a very positive thing. But do consider that also the other elements within the scope also need to be addressed. But foreseeing high impact, that sounds really, really good.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So the next question for topic disease 0313. can you provide examples of evidence supporting the regulatory acceptance of biomarkers? Tim, also for your topic.
Well, okay, so actually that is an element under the scope. Indeed, proposals should aim to provide evidence supporting regulatory acceptance of the biomarkers, and there is a footnote explaining this in the sense that EMA provides scientific advice, in fact, the guidelines, I think, to support the qualification of innovative development methods for specific intended use in the context of research and development into pharmaceuticals. So I would highly encourage them to look at this, the guidance or the advice at the EMA, European Medicines Agency website, and there's a lot of information on the qualification of biomarkers and the validation of biomarkers, and extract from there the evidence that's needed.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So the next question is still for you, for the different topic this time. So topic disease 0314. For the bullet point of the scope, when applicable, does it mean they should be a minor part of the proposal?
Well, okay, so we included, because the topic is very broad, so tackling high burden for patients under research medical conditions can lead obviously to a number of different kind of conditions which may present themselves very differently, and that's why we have, for example, this word in this wording, where applicable. For example, where applicable, development of biomarkers, or the development of clinically relevant human model systems or non-human model systems. So it depends at which stage and in which area the research has advanced in certain of these medical conditions. And we're also aiming for those conditions that are under research. So it leaves a broad room of possibilities, so there will probably not have been so many advances made in the various areas. So this is why the term where applicable is being used, particularly, in fact, in 2 bullet points under the scope section. Back to you, Greg.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Still the question to the same topic, disease 0314. Is international participation a competitive edge within this topic?
Well, I think well, this is more a general, let's say, a general impression that for tackling maybe some medical conditions which are maybe not that well known, or not well recognized, or not correctly diagnosed. Then I think international participation is particularly crucial, because one can rely maybe on experiences in other areas, in other countries, to advance the field and to gain the evidence that's needed. So as I see it, there's certainly a big benefit to international cooperation in these areas that are maybe a bit cloudy and not much, where a lot more clarity is needed. Back to you, Greg.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So question for the topic 0313, so also your topic, Tim. Is certain type of validation expected, like replication cross population or technical validation of measurements?
Yes. Okay, well, I guess they're referring to different kind of validation methods, or so proposals should aim to validate biomarkers that can reliably confirm early stages of the human brain disorder and guide treatment intervention selection. Ultimately, the biomarker needs to be validated for its intended purpose. This can probably be done through various means, And I think that which approach you take will depend on the justification provided. And so just once again, ultimately, the independent expert will evaluate the justification or the approach taken, and will also evaluate the proposal as a whole. So yeah, I would say if a particular approach is taken, please justify them. Back to you, Greg.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So question to the topic 0308, so also for you, Tim. A clinical study comparing a new intervention within the usual clinical practice, would be considered as comparative effectiveness research?
Yes, so on this particular topic, yeah, on comparative effectiveness research, the point is that you need to compare the use of currently existing healthcare interventions in specific population groups or selected subgroups, which implies then that, as the question states, whether, I believe it was currently used intervention would certainly apply. As it's currently existing healthcare intervention. So that's how I see it. Back to you, Greg.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So the question to the topic disease 0314. So for you, Tim, as well. With the respect to infrastructure, what is the expected of proposal with the respect to infrastructure currently under development? For example, EHDS.
So just to come back, Greg, if I understood correctly, is like they're asking, because I don't see the questions.
So, okay, so with respect to infrastructure, what is expected in the proposal with respect to infrastructures currently under development, like EHDS?
Well,
so European EHDS, Health Data Cloud.
Yeah, so this, well, actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is, topic 0314, tackling high burden for patients under research medical conditions. Well, on infrastructures, it mentions the exploitation of existing data, biobanks, registries, cohorts is expected, together with the generation of new data, genomics, epigenomics, transcriptomics, proteomics data. And now, so with the exchange of data, yeah, of course, there are the legislation that needs to be respected, and there is, of course, the upcoming European Health Data Space legislation. But I think we're moving possibly a little bit too far. Yeah, I mean, this topic simply could contribute to the European health data space. Let me put it that way. But it's not a main element within the topic. I think on infrastructures and sharing of samples, quality data, and tools, it does mention to make use of existing infrastructures at the European or national level, and they are mentioned there which ones there are. For example, for the biobanking, BBMRI, ERIC. It doesn't delve too deep into the European health data space, but if there are elements that are worth considering, yeah, I think they can certainly be elaborated. Back to you, Greg.
Thank you, Tim. So we have the next question for the same topic, disease 0314. Are we limited to the under-researched condition listed in the scoping paper, or can other conditions be proposed?
No, so, okay, this leans a little bit to an earlier question. Certainly, other conditions can be proposed. The scoping study was, as I had said, was more exploratory in nature, and it did contain a list of medical conditions that were of high burden and under-researched, but this was a non-exhaustive list. And so 12 groups of conditions were identified. And certainly other conditions are possible. It's particularly that second bullet point in that call topic text that's relevant, where applicants would need to demonstrate in their proposal that the conditions are insufficiently understood, inaccurately diagnosed, or inadequately treated in a significant proportion of patients, and as such represent a high burden for patients and society. And this can be done through referencing key literature. So any condition is possible as long as you meet the criteria and as long as sufficient justification is given. Back to you, Greg.
Thank you, Tim. So the next question is very similar to what you has just answered. I will move to the next one I see in the system. It's also for the topic 0314. Wait a moment, because something... Okay, no, it's for the topic disease 038. Is there a temporal limit for the project lifetime? Again, for example, 3 years or 5 years? Tim.
Oh, okay. So this is a question on the duration of the
project.
The proposed project. Yeah. No, there's no particular limit. I think it can touch 3 years or 5 years. But once again, it needs to be worked out, and the implementation plan needs to be thorough, and it needs to be justified. For example, if 5 years are needed, or 3 years are needed. But I think projects with those durations are the ones that we quite frequently see. So I would say simply, as long as you justify, the timing would not be such a big issue. Okay, back to you, Greg.
Okay, so thank you, Tim. So we have time for the very last question at this moment. The topic disease 0313. Tim, also for you, validation of fluid-derived biomarkers for brain disorders. Could it be applied to the brain metastasis categorization and treatment definition?
Well, okay, so could it be applied to brain metastasis definition? So I would like to bring it back to how we intended projects or proposals to be submitted, in the sense that we had made a distinction between two chapters of the International Classification of Diseases, Chapter 6 and Chapter 8. Chapter 6 being mental, behavioral, or neurodevelopmental disorders, and Chapter 8, diseases of the nervous system. So I would use this means of looking for your particular condition and seeing in which chapter it falls. What I could add is that indeed in the ICD-11, so inside this International Classification of Diseases, sometimes a specific condition is classified in two different categories or two different chapters: primary, let's say primary parent, and then a secondary parent. Because this was, I believe, in the cancer area, I thought it was in the cancer area. It could be that it falls as a secondary parent in Chapter 6 or Chapter 8. If so, then I think it would simply imply a thorough justification why the applicant would like to pursue in developing a proposal in that area. And so the justification against is once again clear. So I would say stick to the classification definition, or simply the browsing the ICD-11 browser to find out where the condition lies and provide sufficient justification for that. Okay, back to you, Greg.
Thank you very much. Thank you, colleagues, for participation to our session. So I would like to also thank all people listening to this and attending these sessions for the questions to our topics. So in case you would still have more questions, please don't hesitate to send them to us via the research inquiry system or via the network of national contact points. So that's it. So the next session will start after the lunch break and 2 p.m. and we wish you a lot of success in application to our topics. Good afternoon. Bye-bye.